Hey guys, Dave here with Mux, and in this video we're going to talk about how you can generate images and animated GIFs from your videos on demand just by making a request to a URL. So let's dive into it. I'm here on the asset page in the Mux dashboard. I'm going to go to the build tab and try to find out some more information about this. If you scroll down under this build tab, you will see ways that you can get previews of your video listed right here on the dashboard. I'm going to click on create thumbnails and let's take a look at what we see here. So it's showing us a URL that we can build using the playback ID from this particular video. By using that URL as the source for your image tag in your HTML, it will allow you to show the preview of the thumbnail at the given time that you are providing right in the URL, which is a pretty nifty feature. So let's take a look here. We have the protocol, we have image.mux.com. The playback ID is here, and this ID is the same as used up here, this public playback ID, which is used to actually play this video back in your video player. But what we're doing here at the end is just tagging on thumbnail.png. And Mux does support some other file formats, but we're just going to use a PNG for now. And then we have these query parameters here at the end as well. And these query parameters you can use to specify the dimensions of the thumbnail or the specific time that you are requesting that a thumbnail be given to you from that video. So let's just use this as is and take a look at what that might look like. I'm over here in Code Sandbox and I have a URL for our still frame from this video. And that URL, I specified the thumbnail as a WebP file, which is a little bit more performant and maybe it saves us a little bit on bandwidth. But I have specified the width, I specified the height, and I specified the time. I set the time to in seconds to 129, which is 2 minutes and 9 seconds into this video. So if I were to go back to the dashboard, I can take a look at 2 minutes and 9 seconds in this video. We should be able to see the exact same thumbnail, 209. So kind of neat. We just generated that on demand without having to do any pre-prep. And if I wanted to take a thumbnail from earlier in the video, let's say 19 seconds, I could just change the time to 19 and it would pull the still frame from that time in the video. So really cool, quick way to be able to generate those stills on demand without having to do any kind of pre-prep. There's several different parameters that you can pass during this generation. You can specify the file format to be one of PNG, JPEG, or a WebP file. You can also pass the width, height, rotation if you want to change the way that the image is displaying on your web page, and then flip it as well or mirror it. There's also fit mode, which will allow you to specify basically how the image is showing up. If the image is in a different aspect ratio, but you want it to fit a different dimension in your application, you can specify and choose which sort of mode you would like to use to fill out the frame. So let's say, for example, for this image that we pulled before, we have sort of this long or wide aspect ratio, which might be the look you're looking for. But if you had to fill a taller box and you wanted to have the bars brought in, you might use a fit mode of, let's see, fit mode pad, maybe. And let's see what we get here. Yeah, so look at the pillar boxes are brought in, and now we're filling in any of the extra space specified in our height and width aspect ratio with black bars so that there's some filler and padding that's happening there to maintain your aspect ratio. So just another neat way that we can leverage the query parameters to generate the image on demand based on what our application needs. All right, so I'm going to go back here and let's take a look at how we can then generate the animated GIF or GIF. So we have the same thing here, and all we have to do is insert the playback ID /animated.gif, or you could say webp there at the end. So let's take a look at that over here. We have this exact same playback ID here in a second image, and animated, I'm using the webp with a width of 428. And I'm currently styling this so that it appears behind the still frame. And in my CSS, when you hover over this still frame, the opacity will drop to 0 using this transition, and we'll be able to see the animated frames occurring right underneath the still. So watch the mouse, I'll move the mouse over there, and we can see that animated preview happening right under there. So this is kind of a common effect that you might want to be able to show thumbnails that show a preview of what's happening under the thumbnail when the user hovers over that thumb. Let's talk about how we would show a still frame from a asset that is requiring a signed or private playback ID. So this particular asset here in the Mux dashboard doesn't actually have a public playback ID. It only has a signed playback ID. So unless we sign the request to retrieve this video or its thumbnails, we won't be able to see it. We won't have access to it. So let's understand here by going through this particular request, how we can actually sign the request for a thumbnail so we can preview this video. So I'm going to look again under this create thumbnails section in the dashboard and notice that we have a little bit different of a request here. We pass still the playback ID right here in the URL. We still get the thumbnail.png, but we have this query parameter for token. And the token is a signed JWT that will allow access to view the video or the thumbnail as long as it's signed with the Mux signing key. You can generate a signing key in your Mux account by visiting the settings and go to signing keys. And we'll use the signing key to authorize access to viewing this thumbnail. So I'm going to go back over to Code Sandbox and take a look at this particular page here, where if we were to make the same request for this image without using a signed token, let's just do that really quick. And we'll create a new image, hit the source as here, all equals my image. You could probably guess what's going to happen here. So trying to load this PNG right here. I'm going to hit reload. And it's not actually loading. It doesn't work because we don't have signed access to this particular image. So what I'm going to do in order to sign access is use the Mux Node SDK here in my Next.js app. And the Mux Node SDK will use some environment variables that are set in my .env file here in Next.js. We have a Mux signing key, which was generated in the dashboard, and the Mux private key here as well. Now, Mux Node SDK is smart enough to know if you use these exact environment variable names, Mux _signing _key, and this Mux private key here, it will pick up and load. It will pick up on them and load them right into the Mux Node SDK. So what we can do now is specify our thumb parameters, which are the same query parameters that we used originally in the unsigned request. So here I can pass time. I can pass, so I'm passing 5 seconds is where I want the thumbnail from. And the width is 400. And here we're making that signing, creating that signed token. So here I pass my signed playback ID, and I need to tell it that I'm signing a thumbnail so it knows what to expect when making this request. I pass the params that I've set up here right into the library, and in return, I will receive this thumb token, which is just a string for the signed URL. So now I can go to create this image down here. I have a source. We pass the playback ID here, and then the token goes right on the end. And notice we are not including the query parameters here at all. We just pass the token and it knows already which query parameters were set while you were setting the token. And there it is. On the right-hand side, it shows up as expected. We have a white border around it just to make sure that it's looking good that I created here in the CSS. And you can also take a look if we were to change this to, let's say, 15 seconds and just reload, it will update automatically to be able to show that new frame at 15 seconds. So that's all we got today to talk about with generating thumbnails and animated GIFs on demand. Until next time, see you folks.